Hello, and welcome back to the Masonic Roundtable, a weekly program where Masons from around the world get together to talk about Masonic news and opinions in a friendly and social manner. As a reminder, the thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely the opinions of the participants and do not represent any Grand Lodge statements or positions. Make sure you keep your conversations open for the public and on the level. To interact with us, you can send questions and comments to our Facebook live stream, YouTube live stream, anywhere you want to be, we're there because we like talking. Let's see, you know me. My name is John Ruark. I'm a past master of the Patriot Lodge, number 1957, in Fairfax, Virginia. Next up for his introduction is the always animated Joe Martinez.
Hello!
Hello there.
Hello, online world. It's Joe Martinez. I don't know if I should say still or again.
Doubly
again.
good.
Double the goodness. Worshipful Master of Manasseh Lodge, number 182. Yeah, 2 is better than 1. So yeah, we're going to be doing that for another year. And super excited to be here tonight, talking about the secret.
The secret.
The secret.
Speaking of secrets, from his secret lair, petting his evil cat, Jason Richards.
Hello. My name's Jason Richards. I'm a past master of Acacia Lodge number 16 in Clifton, Virginia. Only 1 year, thank God. And a member of a lodge in D.C. and a lodge in Ohio as well. With a Callan/eavesdropper in my lap tonight.
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Look what you did to Mr. Bigglesworth. Oh, wait, wrong franchise.
Yes. And here comes Jason's mini-me, Robert Johnson.
Ew.
Get
Get your mind out of the gutter.
He's taller than me. I give him that. Anyway, Robert Johnson, past
I
master
like
Waukegan,
a lot.
78. Okay, yeah. Space Novum 1183, Premier Education Lodge in the state of Illinois, where I where I am the elected and recurring secretary
For life.
for
Emeritus.
no. Like, just I think one more year. I was told this year that somebody told me they're going to run against me for secretary, and I said, you don't have to run against me. They're like, okay, cool, I'll be secretary next year. I said, awesome. So,
And there was a cloud of smoke in the shape of Robert, where it just disappeared after hearing that.
Just Thanos snapped
Yeah.
away. Like, poof.
I was like, boom! I disappeared like Herschel Walker.
If we've had some questions in the chat about hopping in this,
Herschel Walker's baby mummies.
hearing the green room conversation. We need to do more green rooms next year. We'll make a vow to do more green rooms. So
More
If
green
you-
rooms.
just behind the scenes as we get ready for the show. So if you want to check those out in the upcoming year, head to patreon.com/the Masonic Roundtable and keep the show going for many, many years to come. Because we're coming up on another milestone in February, so that'll be fun.
9
Nine?
years. Holy cow.
9? It's not German. It's 9 whole years.
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so Jason, what's coming up? What's the good word this weekend? What are we doing this weekend? Let me give you a hint.
Oh, okay. I was like,
Are we
I'm
speaking
going
somewhere?
to-
We're going to be
I'm going
live
to
in California.
Manasseh's Christmas party.
Yes, he is.
I am. No, this weekend we are drawing our Secret Santas for
Yay.
TMR Secret Santa 2022. It's going to be awesome. We've got a lot of folks lined up to participate. I'm hoping a lot of folks actually do. So, now every
I haven't heard.
year,
Yeah, I don't think anyone's ever bailed out, which is good.
No. I didn't hear
every
anything
year
last couple years.
we've done really, really well from the standpoint of everybody's super, super stoked and happy with what they've gotten. And so you've got like 2 more days to sign up. So throw that URL back up there, John, It's tinyurl.com/TMR Santa 2022. And you got to be based in the U.S. because international shipping would cost more than the gift itself would. But we're looking forward to getting some great participation, and it's always fun to, especially if you're a patron in Patreon, it's always fun to do kind of a show and tell in our little Patreon members only Facebook group. So it's a good time.
Be there
I like
and be square.
I like show and tell.
Nice.
It's my faves.
Very cool. All right.
Totes.
Now that we get into this week's topic, I know that Joe, you're playing with a handsome deck of cards there. Why don't we do our tarot card of the week?
Yes, why don't we? I'm trying to shuffle these. So, for those who've never seen them, these are the Splendor Solace
Ooh.
tarot cards.
Ooh.
They are. My wife got them for me last Christmas. I absolutely love them. They're alchemical and mithraic, so a lot of cool symbols. And they have gold stuff on them. Yes, so add it to your Elfster, and maybe you'll get one. So we're gonna pick a card.
I already have like 3 decks added to my
Yeah,
Elfster.
mine is very heavy.
Yeah,
Heavy on that
it's
this
an
year.
addiction.
Yes. All right, so we're gonna pick. Okay, here we go. Ready?
Yep.
We've got, what is it? The Sun.
Alchemy of the Sun.
Alchemy of the Sun.
So,
Yeah.
number 19, Child's Play. Got about, I don't know, a dozen kids. Looks like my house.
It does look like your house, doesn't it?
Just kids
Yeah.
everywhere.
It's Tom's house. They're all just running around naked. Look at that. Yeah, Sun. Very cool deck. The Sun.
Sun.
The Sun upright. Awesome. I mean, that's positivity. We're
Absolutely.
definitely going to talk about that tonight. Warmth, success.
Good vibes all around.
Yeah. Good
Yeah.
vibes. Good vibes. Very appropriate.
I think it's. So can you show the card one more time?
Damn it! I literally just put it back in the deck. Hold up a second.
Well, I'm
It's gonna find
sorry. You know,
Language show.
so the traditionally that card is like a kid riding on a horse,
Right.
and the
Naked
sun
kid.
is like kind of yeah, of course, right? Like it's all about innocence.
Yes.
But what's interesting here is that the card itself is cool because I don't usually like in the tarot decks, like if there's something that's going on in the background that's got red, like the red turrets or whatever, it's there's some symbolism associated with that. But what's interesting is like that power dynamic of in the back is almost looking on at these kids, like that whole innocence thing is going on.
Mhm.
But also, what's dope is it's relative to like foundation. So, like your foundation is the family or the health of the family, power base.
Comfort, because, right, these kids can play. They're not starving and working in the coal mines, right?
Optimism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
I
good
like it.
card. It's dope.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's a good way
Yeah.
to start the week.
Boom.
Boom. There you go.
Who starts their week on a Thursday?
Apparently, John. He sleeps
Just
from
John.
Sunday to Wednesday. Rolls out of bed. on
Today's my
Thursday.
Friday. Let's go to the topic of the week. Now they're moving off of the tarot card of the week. This is one I've wanted to do for a while and one we've alluded to multiple times on the show. This is about the secret. That's right. This one secret will, not can, but will change your life if you apply it. And so tonight we're going to talk about what that secret is, how to apply it, how it's affected us, and any other fun tidbits along the way that we've learned in our research. So,
Real quick.
yeah.
When we talked about this, I think that the listeners of the show would really enjoy Jason's off-the-cuff remark. I was dying laughing when you said something in our Facebook Messenger, Jason, when we said this one secret will change.
Oh,
If-
okay.
It was
Yeah, I'm
glorious.
picking up
You
what
have
you're
to
throwing
share.
down. This one secret will give you everything you've ever wanted in masonry. It's called a request for demit.
Heyo. It's the ultimate lost word of saying no, right?
Yes.
It's
Goodbye.
It's
the
like
ultimate no.
it's not just no, it's no more.
No, come on. We're trying to be optimistic here with that sun card.
Sun card.
Hmm.
Child's play. No, no. The optimism comes from this secret known as the law of attraction. So, many people will have caught on that the secret that we put in the show's title is a capital S, with a nod and homage to the book that was written in 2006. And so, although this book called The Secret, not The Secret Garden, no,
No,
wrong
that's a
book,
different
wrong
book.
book. Yeah,
Book.
I came prepared in everything. There it is.
Boom.
There's The Secret. Good one.
But the law of attraction has been around for decades before.
Exactly. For
Yeah.
many, many years before. So, in summary, let's give a brief overview. Who wants to take a stab at giving a high level definition of what this secret or this law of attraction really is? Joe.
Okay. So, Joe, if I haven't talked enough today. So, the secret is, again, we're calling it The Secret. It's been super popularized after that book. I think it was written, what did you say, John? 2006, 2005?
2006.
Okay. I think it was a movie first and then became a book.
Got to cash in.
But yes, get that recurring revenue. But The Secret, for decades and decades before the 21st century, was known as the law of attraction. And the law of attraction, I think, was around since the very late 19th century. During a time where a lot of awesome things were happening in the world. What it essentially is an idea that we're all connected. There's an interconnectedness between human beings and the world that we live in. And through our ideas and our thoughts and our hopes and our feelings, we're able to essentially manipulate that energy in directed ways. So our thoughts and our feelings directly correlate to how we feel and who we are and how we act as a human being. So we have the power to basically determine our own destiny, essentially, right? And it's a very interesting idea. Some people think it's hooey. But if you take it in its simplest form, a positive mental attitude will generate positive results, and its converse is, a negative, crappy attitude will generate negative results. And there is a lot of truth to that, no matter where you lie on the law of attraction.
Right. When it rains, it pours. Right. That's how the saying goes. If you're going to stay negative, then or however you woke up on the wrong side of the bed in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
like all of those things are kind of loosely related to this concept, right? Of your attitude determines your reality, or at least your future reality, right? If you only look for the negative, you're only going to see negative. If you only look for the positive, you're only going to see positive, and to various levels of degrees of commitment, of course.
Well, and it's
Yeah.
at its core, it's alchemical manifestation, right?
Oh, ooh, use the M word.
You
Proceed.
become a self-fulfilling prophecy. If that's all your mindset is trained on, then inevitably, in some ways, it will come to pass. Now, like if you're fixated on becoming like a billionaire, just using crypto, then for the vast majority of people, that will probably not
I
happen.
should probably check my FTX holdings while you're
That
doing
ship
that.
has sailed about 6 months ago.
Wait. Okay.
But at the same time, for more, I almost liken it to the tarot, where the tarot gives you a framework to view what's happening in your life. And so at a broader level, what you focus your mental energy toward is going to be the framework and the lens that you view everything that happens to you through. And so, you don't ask the tarot like, hey, will I get $1 million? And if so, when? Can you provide me the exact date? You say, okay, going into this holiday season, what should I think about? Or what should how should my attitude be going into the holiday season, or something general like that. So I feel like the law of attraction is similar in the sense that your mindset very much colors how you perceive what happens to you.
It goes two ways also, because what we find is that, and we can get into this, but um, the secret or the law of attraction attributed to some new thought, right, which really did a number on the world in the early 20th century. And it even affected your world religions. Like Christianity became
Right.
not so centrally dogmatic. It even opened up to new possibilities. You had Christian mystics and Christian type New Age thinkers that started to almost say, oh, this is really interesting. There's this whole thing where people love to take the things that are similar from different systems and then, kind of amalgamate them all together. And that's okay.
Like
But we need
Freemasonry.
to remember, yeah, we gotta remember where things came from too, so that we can be honest and be educated about things. But what's interesting, right, is like you get the sense of, well, the law of attraction is not so different from prayer, and even things like that. But one of the most interesting things is twofold. One, that science basically says it's real. And I know there's going to be people out there and they're going to say, hooey, you're full of garbage. And then there's another, a bunch of people who think, well, yeah, it must be true, but it's a form of self brainwashing, which is also true.
Yes. Where's the line?
To a sense, right? There's a way to do things. And of course, we'll go into it, but there's pitfalls to avoid.
So let me pull that like spiritual religious thread for a second here too. I found it interesting too, where yes, it became popular, in the early 1900s, right, when you'll still remember we're in the middle of this mysticism movement, right, and you had Harry Houdini trying to debunk all these like mystics and seance leaders and everything. But still, this theosophic spin started to evolve around that time frame too, and so people were taking, again, their foundation that they've had and put this mystical tie on top of it, this mystical spin, on it, where they were even trying to pull it back to exactly your point, where they're trying to, okay, let's find something in the Bible we can hang this on, and one of the biggest ones was like Mark 11. Verse 24, where it says, therefore I tell you, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you've received it, and it will be yours. Right.
And that's the key.
Okay, believe that you have received it already.
Yeah, already. So one of the things that's interesting, right, like we'll be in all these Facebook groups, and I'm in a bunch of like law of attraction, new agey, whatever Facebook groups, because I'm into that stuff. But you're like scrolling through, right, and people think they're doing you like God's work, the Lord's work, by putting something in there like, you're about to have financial freedom. And if you're about to have financial freedom, you're never going to have financial freedom. The idea is to say you've accomplished it.
You already have, right?
You already have it, but it's not enough to say that either. Because physics tells you got to be, the key is emotionally attached to it.
To it, yes. Yeah, and I've always, just to finish that thought too on the Bible verse, right? It's believe that you've received it, and yet, so that means theoretically, if you pray for something in that way, you should have just pray for it once, right? So if you're like, hey, I got a long road ahead, I've got this health issue I need to take care of, really, you should only pray once and believe that God's taking care of it for you, right? So you don't ever need to pray for it ever again, which most people wouldn't do, because the other side of the coin is, one of the disciples was said, pray without ceasing, right? So you have this dichotomy of, okay, do we pray without ceasing, or do we just pray and believe that we've already got it? Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, no. So as soon as you said that, it spurred some ideas, and I did look up while we were talking, is this, how does it compare to things that are said in religion, right? And you can look to, the Bible or the Old Testament or the Tanakh, for example, and you find verses that line up pretty nicely to the law of attraction without the full-blown manifestation that Robert's talking about, right? And manifestation we'll talk about
Explicit.
there. That's what came after, right? But you look at like Proverbs 17, and I'll read it. A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. I mean,
That's related.
another one is, another Proverbs 15. A cheerful look brings joy to the heart, and good news gives health to the bones. So, I mean, it follows the laws of attraction, right? Think about the positive things in life. Focus on the present, not the future, like Robert was talking about. And ultimately, that similar things attract each other. So, positive outlook and positive ideas and positive living will attract that, and you won't.
And that is that's like the implicit thing that is, because you are in direct control of that thing, because you are that thing, by evoking a positive emotion or showing a positive emotion, you are therefore like making a thing happen, right? Like it's
Right.
there's an emotional connection that somebody else will happen. They get charged up because they see you happy. Even if you're like a depressed, sad sap, right? If you smile and somebody smiles and I think that person was, a beautiful smile, maybe their day has changed and maybe you're still not, but something happened, right? And that stretches beyond all things.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like there's entanglement anywhere in the universe, Robert. I mean, come on. You can't say that you change one thing and it might affect something else very far away.
Certainly not at the quantum
It's
level.
not at all.
Everything is non-local.
Not that they give out Nobel Prizes for this year.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, man, I think the whole concept then of manifestation is an amazing thing, right? So let's say step one, you buy into this concept, right? That, okay, I really have to truly believe. I can't just say, okay, if I think happy thoughts and I think of, sunshine and rainbows and all that, like, no, you've actually got to be committed to it. It's a system that you have to commit to, but then that can change your future outcomes. And so, I'm a big fan of saying that if you don't like where you are today, you have the ability to change what your future is going to be, right? The future is whatever you make of it. So make sure it's a good one, right?
Well, it goes back to the, stepping outside of the law of attraction. And, as we get nerdy and all physicsy, we do really understand that perception is reality, right? So if you're going to have a crappy perception about reality and your place in it, then yeah, it's gonna come to fruition pretty damn quickly, And I think that that's just an extension of that, where the cool thing that you brought up with talking about quantum entanglement is that you tend to gravitate towards those people that have that very same mindset and attitude, and they feed off each other, and hopefully, engender good results.
It's all connected, man. All connected.
All connected.
It is. And one of the best analogies you can find to help people understand how everything is connected. And I think this works for a lot of people will get this. Some might still not, but it's imagine the old school radio antenna. It's not like sections of the antenna only pick up certain frequencies that are being broadcast everywhere. It picks up everything because it's all receivable, right? So there's this idea that it is able to connect to all things, not just segmented. So if that works for you, awesome. If it doesn't, I tried.
So another way to think of this too is, okay, if you bought into that system, then say, well, then basically what is goal setting? Right? When you do a project plan, you say, here's where we're going to be by the end of the fiscal year, the calendar year, or if you're, heaven forbid, starting a New Year's resolution in a few weeks, you are trying to set that goal, set that future state, that reality that you want to get to. And if you, for those people who are hyper focused on it, then more often than not, they will find paths to help them get to their goal. Right? So you have now created a new reality, a future state that you don't have today, by the effect of just constantly thinking about this goal and then doing the necessary hard work in the background to align your reality around that. Because this is not just sitting on the couch and just saying, I wish for $1 billion. I wish I won that Powerball lottery a couple weeks ago. You're like, no, that's not what we're talking about. You actually have to be, along for the ride as well.
Active participant.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So that's why people do vision boards, and the exercise of taking a magazine, cutting out like things that you want, and like physically seeing it, cut out in front of you. I update mine about once a year, because I do mine a little bit more high tech, a little more digital. But I have a Google slide set that I put in some clip art and some images of things that I hope to aspire to. Not all physical, some things that are just, health and family and all the other good things that come in there. And yeah, it's worked for me. Some of the things I've actually had to, fortunately, thankfully, update my vision board, because I got some of those things in previous years that I had wished for, that I had hoped for, that I had projected or manifested this reality I wanted. It, to a degree, it works. I can attest to that. And that's just my own personal experience. And that's why I keep doing it. Joe.
Question. For us Gen Zers who are super young, what is a magazine?
These digital things you can download from Libby.
You're
Okay,
not
all
even a millennial, man.
Shut up.
He's the young guy.
You're millennial adjacent.
I'm manifesting
It's-
youngness.
Just because you have the maturity of a 10-year-old.
There's
That is-
limits.
and that's right. That's how
There's
I
limits to the universe.
I can't even with you.
I can't even.
Oh, man.
But so yeah, this concept isn't new. Again,
Right.
because I think when I first started thinking about where did I first come across this outside of the movie and stuff, I did read a lot of like the Dale Carnegie kind of self-help books, how to how to win friends and influence people, and also a lot of Napoleon Hill, who when I read his book Think and Grow Rich, like that's basically the first half to 2/3 of the book is just mindset, and it doesn't explicitly call out law of attraction, but it's all the same thing, and it was written around that same time frame too. It was in the 30s, I think, that Think and Grow Rich was written. So
And even before
Yeah.
this, right?
because I know you've read it, Robert.
Yeah, so all of those, great books. In fact, we did a couple chapters on those, and it's business time. So go buy that book, everybody. It's a good book. But there's okay. So like everybody always associates when I say, "Oh yeah, Carnegie was all about the law of attraction." People think I'm talking about Dale Carnegie. And the thing is that I'm not talking about Dale Carnegie most of the time. I'm talking about Andrew Carnegie,
Right.
or Carnegie, however you want to say his last name. Born a poor Scotsman, died the richest man on the planet. He practiced the law of attraction. And when you read about some of his success techniques, he talked about surrounding himself with the most experts in every field to do something he would call a mastermind, where he would want to know something and he'd just go around the room and people would offer up their ideas. And as this would go, like the energy in the room is what he attributed to so much of his successes. And then you've got like in the 1920s when Paul Case left the Golden Dawn and starts Tarota, his little magazine thing, and then goes on to form Boda. The first 7 lessons of Builders of the Addendum or Addendum are 7 steps in practical occultism, which literally are the secret. I mean, it's like a secret, but also the world's greatest secret is that it works, but you know, you guys heard my gripe about it earlier, so.
That's fair. That's fair. So where else have you guys seen this work? I mean, have any of you guys done vision boards, or have you guys tried manifesting something different? How did it go? Did it not go so well? Any thoughts?
I've never done a vision board. This is piquing my curiosity. I will totally look into that. But you know, I think I've been in enough places and situations, and you know, just in my 25 or 30 plus years of being a grown up, where I have noticed over time that a positive mental attitude does change how my life has played out. You know, there's been many times in my life where, you know, you get dealt a crappy hand, and you know, you can either sit there and wallow and um, pity yourself and be mopey about it, or you can, you know, as lame as it sounds, you know, exude positivity, and then you'll start to actually believe in that positivity, and then exude that positivity towards other people, you know, and then you'll turn that situation around. I mean, it's kind of like you said, it's kind of like prayer and action, you know, where prayer, most of us use prayer to request something of someone, right? It's always, there's a need that needs to be filled, and we answer that through prayer for many people. Very rarely do people pray for the purpose of just conversation, right? Um, you know, it's usually, you know, please give me a puppy, or please help me fix my flat tire, or please make my checking
It's
account not,
going to the is going
you
to
know.
the deity ATM.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it stinks, right? Because the bulk of the world, no matter what your faith is, it's always a need that needs to be filled, and they feel
hmm
that prayer and prayer alone is going to fulfill that need, when it's not. It's you know, it's you have to be, like we said before, an active participant in it, and then suddenly, if you actually start to believe the things that you're saying, they can happen. You know, so I think, again, for me, positive mental attitude has been a lifesaver in many cases. You know, so yeah, but you know, back to
Well,
vision
and
boards sounds super interesting. I'll check it
well,
out.
and it's kind of like the terrible, internet meme and joke that you see every now and then, where there's this guy in this life-threatening situation, and he prays to God to. He's like, I've got faith that God's gonna save me. And some guy is coming by. He's like, Hey, do you need help? And the guy's like, No, God's gonna save me. And another couple folks, come and, the same response, right? No, God's gonna save me. And then he passes away, goes up to heaven, and he's like, God, why didn't you save me? And God's like, well, I sent those three guys. Like, I
Right.
think it's kitschy, but at the same time, it illustrates the point of manifestation and saying, okay, it's not just prayer and sitting back. It's prayer and working toward a goal the best you can.
Now, have you guys ever been in a place where you're like, something came along at the right time, the right thing came around at the right time, and you're like, that's really eerie. Like, I thought about this years ago, but I wasn't ready for it, and now, this
Every
thing
day.
has entered my life, and it's like, wow, there's something to this. That,
It's every day.
My
yeah,
wife,
And
yeah.
I was
I'll
going to say,
be,
she's upstairs. She's upstairs.
it's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, there's this is a cheesy one, but we just had a Thanksgiving show a while ago, and it always stuck with me because I was like, holy smokes, this was the most practical, layman, um, simple, everyday Joe version of this thing that you're alluding to, that things coming along just at the right time. We used to gather at my sister-in-law's house for Thanksgiving, and they would do the cheesy thing. Everybody say something you're thankful for. kids rolling their eyes, being silly, and everybody giving stupid answers. And I say stupid answers because we're all just goofing off. And it comes around to my wife's deceased mom's fiance. She passed away, and we've never let him go. Like, he is Grandpa Joe. Awesome. Like, he is salt of the earth guy. The kind of guy who worked with his hands his whole life. He's got, like a finger that kind of doesn't move because he cut the tendon when he was sharpening clipper blades at work. Like, that's what he does. And we're standing there. And so he's not like a rich guy or anything else, but when it gets to him, he said, and it was so perfect. He said, and it's so stupidly simple, I'm thankful that every time I'm at the end of my rope, there's a little bit more to hang on to. And it just blew me away. I mean, it sounds really stupid and simple, but it blew me away because I thought to myself, how many times have I been in that same situation where I swiped my card at the gas station, in my early 20s, and I've got no money, and they decided to hold more money than was in my account. So now I'm negative, and I got to call my mom to be like, hey, do you have any cash that you can dump into my account just to get me out of the negative balance? And then I would do it, just all that weird stuff. It's almost like the system really isn't designed to let you fail if you're an active participant. If you believe, if you surround yourself with good people who want to lift you up, all of these things. I mean, you can dig into. I think Martinez, you've done this thing a few times where you talked about the chaplain's prayers and what we're doing with invoking deity and things, and kind of coming together. There's a whole thing there. I think we practice the law of attraction in Lodge. But I digress.
No, don't digress. Let's keep going.
Spot on.
You gotta manifest those NPDs.
That's what I do, baby.
You're like 2 for 2, Jason. This is what not to do. You don't manifest this negative energy.
It's hilarious energy. It's good. It's good comedy.
Difference between white and black magic is intent, right?
That is true. It still has a vector
positive
to it.
And negative manifestation. It's all about your intention, right?
Yeah, but to your point,
I want to be clear. I would never manifest something like NPDs or try to.
So
no,
those happen on their own.
You're just creating educational programs people don't want. That's all.
I'm not coming here anymore.
That's like the past 10 years of my Masonic life, but yes.
Me too.
So I do believe that there are no coincidences, right? You could call it synchronicity.
But there are coinky dinks.
Right. But there are no coincidences. That there are things that are meant to nudge you or to call you. Some people call it God's calling, right? You could say it's just the universe trying to tell you something. And the more that I start to follow
Biff Tannen, hello,
hey McFly,
in there, McFly.
The more I start to cue into those and start to follow those hunches, or those things that seem out of place in a good way. I've been more often than not positively impacted by those, right? And so it's all related, because that then also makes me think about another one of my favorite books that is around this topic, The Alchemist. Right? We talked about The Alchemist with Paulo Coelho. That was written in the 80s, 1988.
Yeah, we did a show on it.
We did an entire show. Yeah, a year or two ago.
4 years ago.
Everything was just like a year or two ago when you've done a 9-year show.
9 years.
But that book, I mean, to your point, though, how great it is and its message, I'm not the biggest fan of the book, but I will say that doesn't matter because it is the most translated book in human history.
True.
More than, anything else. It's actually been translated because it speaks to people on this kind of level.
Because the alchemist, the actual figure in the book, says this phrase a couple times, which I love. talking about like your true purpose, your life's purpose, and how he's trying to get the shepherd boy to actually follow it. He says multiple times that when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. The whole universe conspires to help you really achieve that something you really, really want. Which again, that's literally, what we're talking about with this positive thinking, law of attraction. When you really, really want something, now, will the stars move to help you get something done? No, not physically, not realistically. But will you be changed in order to change your behaviors, to change your intention, to change your focus, to change your attitude? Of course. Like, all those things come into like getting up in the morning and then deciding what you want to do, because every day you open your eyes, you've got, thousands of choices that decide your future. So it's just a matter of which ones are you going to take, right?
We're just listening to you, John. We're just staring and listening. It's just
This is good.
so much goodness coming
I don't know
out.
if it was in our group chat or what, but one of y'all said something like, you're only one. Every choice you make is like changing your destiny outlook or something. I can't remember who the hell it was.
Related to that, I don't know if this is one of my favorite quotes too, but it's like every choice you've ever made in your entire life has gotten you to this moment right here, right now.
Led you to this point. Yep.
Listening
That's
to
right.
the Masonic Roundtable podcast, right? So thank you.
That's right. Yeah.
But so people say,
Also, I hope you have time now to reflect on your
yes,
poor life
on
choices
all of those
that,
awful life
that
choices.
have led you to
What are you
listening to
doing
this
with
podcast.
yourself?
Yeah.
God.
I love like the boat that's rising with me, and then Jason just pulls this thing down.
Hey, Joe,
Jason is
help
the
that time.
iceberg. The iceberg in front of the Titanic.
Look out,
Jason's the sleeping lookout.
Jason said.
Screw it, just hit it. Boom.
But okay, so
I
some
think we
people
can make it.
some people will take that quote as being negative, right? Like, well, crap, I made some horrible life choices, but I'm a glass half full kind of person who says, okay, can't fix those, but I can absolutely make better decisions from here going forward.
Yeah.
So there's unknown possibilities ahead of me. I only know the ones that happened behind me, right? I know of the doors that got closed behind me.
But that's it. This isn't a one and done kind of thing, right?
No.
That's life. That's human existence, right?
Mhm.
It's crappy choice, reflect,
Yep.
either do something or just continue to make crappy choices. So it's it's just the timeline broken out into all those shards,
Mm-hmm.
Every
Multiverse.
single place, the multiverse of madness. Not a sponsor. SodaStream, not either. But what I was going to say was, yeah, it's that's a condition of our living in this world, right? Is choice is good or bad, and you may not know at the time whether they're good or bad. It's a choice that you make. Indeed, I don't like that one. I like my Bublé better. Bublé for the win. Michael Bublé, love it. Anyway, make good choices. Drink Bublé through SodaStream. It's all good.
At least you're not
Not a sponsor.
like downing that La Croix anymore.
Ugh, that was a bad life choice.
It was, he improved.
Wow.
He manifested
No.
a new reality.
It was the best thing at the time.
Ah.
It was the best thing at the time.
But you
new
can
things
pivot.
come out.
You can pivot, and
It was
pivoting
like-
is learning and moving on.
That's right.
Drinking
In a
Sprite
positive way.
through a strawberry flavored condom.
That sounds good.
What did you do growing up? And you talking about strawberry condoms and stuff? Like what
So,
did you do in high school? I want to know now.
yes.
Mm.
So there's a glass half full people.
I was
And
in
you
the
got
band.
strawberry
That's all
condoms.
you
There's
need to
glass
know.
half
Yeah.
empty people, and then there's what's in the glass. I want to know first before I
Well,
Yes.
to
What's in
loosely
the
translate
glass?
what Jose was saying in the chat.
what's
It's
in
the
the
box.
glass actually
Right.
is based on the hologram and the, see if I can say this correctly, David Boehm's holonomy. So everything exists is the mind is like the hologram thing that like generates everything.
Mhm.
See, I'm gonna steer
the
us back on
holodeck.
course. Yeah. Right. So
Sounds
he
like
talks
fun.
about the implicate order where everything is connected. And one of his quotes that I thought was really cool, he says, human being takes part in the process of this totality. So your connectedness with everything, and he is fundamentally changed in the very activity in which his aim is to change that reality, which is the content of his consciousness. So, like, taking all that apart, basically it's like, you know, some kid was watching Star Trek, liked the flip of the communicator, and the flip
And
phone
made it.
was born.
Exactly.
Motorola.
And see that true. That kind of relates to another loosely hermetic. Who's crinkling or typing? It's not Joe's keys this time.
I'm on mute.
Jason needs to manifest a mute button. The kind of loosely relates to like the Kabbalion, which is also
Eating my holiday party cookies.
Enjoy your
I'm
cookie.
sorry.
The Kabbalion has, which is also kind of new agey. I wouldn't say it's a real hermetic text, but it's got some good nuggets in there. One of the very first ones is like all is mind. The whole concept of, okay, even for God to create the universe, he had to like picture it in his mind first, whatever God's mind looks like, right? So you have to think about it before you create it, or in a Kabbalistic sense, right? You have like the formation before the creation, the concept before the actual, before the manifestation, right? And so that means that your reality is shaped by what you think about, right? That you have to think about something before you actually do it. Like you have to think about what I'm going to have for dinner before you choose what you're going to have for dinner. And so, yeah.
Yeah, no, and to pull that thread a little bit, I mean, I've been spending days looking at, because I'm a hyper nerd, and I look at all the, especially on TikTok, you look at all the new awesome things that are coming out of the James Webb Telescope. And it just cements the idea that we have that we, our meat suits. I lost John exploded. No, there he is. Okay. He got bored. Ooh. Looking at those pictures and watching people freak out, and most of the people are like, what the hell's the big deal? But like I just saw a picture of Neptune that was done in infrared by the James Webb Telescope. And what do you see around Neptune that you can't see with your, cow eyes is the rings of Neptune.
Rings.
So bright and
Rings.
shiny and beautiful, right? And
I miss those.
But we always forget, or we don't realize because we can't understand this, is that we only get to see a tiny part of reality, right? There's so much more to reality than just what our meat suit eyeballs pick up. And
it's important to note that John is very much only interested in the rings around Uranus.
you are on a theme tonight, my friend. You're talking about strawberry condoms and the planet named Uranus. So we're going to have a session with you after this show, and we're going to talk through some of these things because we care about you and we want you to have a positive mental attitude.
So yeah, I'm sensing a green room, patrons only conversation.
Whoever hurts you, my friend, we're coming for him. Okay.
It was the shrine. So, really
see
quick,
his face, but there was a fez.
I had to look it up.
That.
I had to look it up.
Oh man,
Neptune, Jason. Neptune.
Oh, okay.
It's Neptune's rings.
That's amazing.
You were saying
so serious. I was gonna say, so serious has this topic, been, believed in and thought about, and how it has changed over time. It's actually really a part of the cultural fabric of the world at this point. I don't think there's anybody out there who doesn't at least understand the concept of the idea that misery loves company. All of these kinds
we have a
of
lot of
different
phrases
ideas.
like that. Mm-hmm.
Even Forbes magazine in a leadership column, I think I did a search for it a little while back, and it looks like October of 2020 did an entire piece on the mystery and science behind the law of attraction.
Cool.
And before he was anybody, Travis from you guys have seen him on Ancient Aliens and
I have.
Jew on Skinwalker Ranch, like the lead scientist for that. Before he was anybody, back in the early 2000s, he basically wrote about the physics behind the law of attraction. And he was like, look, man, he's real careful to say that he's pretty secular in his beliefs, right? But he grew up like in a Baptist household and stuff, and prayer and all this. And, he's not a super, he's not super attached to those ideas. But as a scientist, he saw this thing his wife recorded. Basically, it was on Oprah. He talked about Oprah when she was like, "This is the best book in the whole world. Everybody look under your seat. You get the secret." And he was like, "I'm going to debunk this." And then he basically was like, I can't debunk it. And it's a phenomenal book if you guys can get it. I think it's called The Science Behind the Secret. And it's a quick read, but it's really awesome. And there's a lot of, like, when you think about, you're like, oh, really? How could I do this? How could this really work? There's a quote from a book by Jiddu Krishnamurti that I want to say was quoted in Paul Clark's book on Paul Case. Anyway, Jiddu Krishnamurti says something like, you could stand in a room and flex your muscles and displace the air as the muscle expands. Your physical body is having a physical change on the world around you. And he said, the brain is a muscle. Thoughts have the same like movement, right? Like you put a thought out,
Reactions. Mm-hmm.
There's a reaction somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And to Joe's point, there is 99% of reality we don't see. We're limited in scope to what we can experience. And so because of that, there just very well could be, this idea that you think about something and it happens. This is what David Boehm really went after with his implicate order and looking at things like that double slit experiment. It did something because we witnessed it, and because we had an emotional reaction to it is what made, inanimate sort of non-connected particles do the opposite of what we expected them to do when we watch or don't watch.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a whole slew of science behind this that really speaks to that it's real. But there are multiple keys, and I think people they always have this idea, and they say, well, if it works, how come not everybody does it?
Like exercise.
Right. Yeah.
How come not everybody knows to eat right and exercise? I mean, we all have various levels of commitment.
Because bacon's
You
yummy.
want to get in, you got to make your bed.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we are at that time for the final question of the night. We'll start with Jason. And the final question is, what do you think? Let's see. We'll go with, have you used it before? And what were its effects? And if you have not, will you? Go.
I have not used the law of attraction explicitly knowing
Right.
it to be such.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. So I am, an IT PM, the program manager, over some very complex types of programs.
You got to wish those schedules to get back on track.
Right.
You got to manifest those requirements.
Performance. Yeah, and so you can't do anything or build anything or manifest anything without a plan and without really focusing on the end goal and then breaking down bit by bit by bit to how to get there. But everything I do in managing technical development and requirements, and specifically matching the business need or the market need to a product's technical roadmap and requirements. That's all manifestation and the law of attraction. And so it's a little bit of a vanilla perhaps example, but I do something akin to the law of attraction every single day for my job.
No, I'll go with you there to say that you have to have an idea, right, and see that idea come to fruition, come to be built, to not be built, to overcome whatever challenges. So yeah, I mean it's related. It's rudimentary, but it absolutely works if you commit to it. Joe?
Before I answer, while you guys were talking, I made my very first vision board. Would you like to see it?
I love it. See?
I'm gonna share the screen. Wait,
Yes,
here it comes.
let's do it.
Here it comes. Ready? Here it comes. That's my vision board.
I thought that was Jason's vision board.
That's my vision board.
I love
Good.
it.
Am I on the right track?
Pretty good.
Am I on the right track? Okay, right on. Yeah.
Getting there.
So, yeah, getting there. Take
Good
two.
job. Good job.
No, thank you. So, what was your question again?
Have you used it before? What were the results? And if not, will you?
Absolutely. So, yeah, no, I would say, before Oprah popularized The Secret, those laws of attraction have been around and they've been codified or reworded in so many different ways. But I mean, the basic laws apply to many things, right? Focus on the now. Don't focus on the crap you did yesterday or tomorrow. Make room for the positive things. Surround yourself with positive energy. And I think it really does work. It's gotten me through some really rough times in my life. And there have been places and people and situations that have been absolutely toxic, is the best word I can use. And working on a plan, like Jason said, to manifest a new reality is entirely possible, and it requires, like you said, belief, and it requires an idea that there is more out there than just you, in however form you need to encapsulate that, whether it's through God or through the understanding that there is a interconnectedness in everything. But it absolutely does work. And I would have to say it's changed or saved my life in many occasions, but I'm so grateful for being able to do that, as opposed to just wallowing in bad feelings and negativity and bad emotions, because all you do is muddy up the world around you. And that's not what I'm all about. So yeah.
Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
How about you, Robert? I mean, you and I have been talking about it the most.
The thing is that
implicitly over the time.
I believe in it. I use it. You don't like the law of attraction's biggest critics will tell you that the only evidence for its existence outside of some science, right, some physics that may or may not, according to the layman's understanding of them, affect reality. But I will tell you that it's all anecdotal. And the thing is that you just have to trust me when I say that everything I have today is because I use that technique. I left working on jet airplanes outside in 20 below weather because I believed that I could transform what I did for a living. I started a podcast and grew the podcast because I believed that I could do it, that it had already affected people. Like, you use these things all the time. And if anybody out there's like, well, how come you're not rich? My brothers, my friends, I am rich. Not like in money, right? Like,
Coming to your
but with our
house.
friends that we have and the experiences and being grateful for the things, as Joe had pointed out so well, is that I'm also at a maturity level, right? That I think to myself, I know that richness isn't like monetary richness doesn't bring me comfort. What brings me comfort is living rich within my means. And so I think for me, that's an anecdotal way of telling you that, yeah, I used The Secret, I used the law of attraction, and I've used it for probably since I was 18 years old. And, it's just kind of my look on things. And I grew up with my mom, who was, again, Roman Catholic, but she's probably going to go to hell because she reads Shirley MacLaine books. But, I grew up around that. And so that kind of openness changed the way I thought and what was possible. And what we find out is that when we believe things are possible, they really are. And so I'll end on a quote from David Bohm. He says, "We are all linked by a fabric of unseen connections. This fabric is constantly changing and evolving. This field is directly structured and influenced by our behavior and by our understanding." And so think about that. The way you act and the way you understand are really what drives your reality, which is subjective.
Yes.
Which, let's not get all Nietzsche on it, but might not be real.
What's in the box?
There you go. Awesome. Thanks, guys. So just to kind of echo what RJ said, implicitly I've done it for many years, right? Just having big goals in mind, knowing that, some goals are going to take much longer to do. But if you really want something, I've done things with, getting certifications for my resume, because I know that if I focus on that now, it'll pay off later. Or if I, just have that delayed gratification, where if I have my eyes on a future target, then more often than not, I will find a way to get there and align myself to do that. And so I'm a big fan of it. Take all of the mysticism around it away. That I just think that being purpose-driven. I mean, there's been books on purpose-driven life, right? Having something that's very clear and articulate in your mind, whether it's in a vision board, whether it's in a mission statement, personal mission statement, just having that picture of the Corvette that you want stuck there on your bathroom mirror, whatever that is, however that looks to you, that's personal. But when you reflect on something and then you observe how you're interacting with the world, you're going to find ways to get to that. It may take you a while. It's not going to happen overnight, but there are ways to get what you want. And so, as we talked about in the beginning, that it could also be used for bad things too, but make sure that whatever you go after is noble and pure. And I really wish you well on your journey. So try it out. It's pretty cool, and I think it is a tenet that, while not explicitly Masonic, it's something that we all strive for, the hope and faith.
It is Masonic. It is.
It's all related.
We do it in Lodge.
We didn't even talk about egregore, right? I mean, that's really what we're talking about.
Oh my goodness.
Egregore.
Yes.
There's your word
Another
for the
show.
day.
Another show.
Another show.
All right. Well, don't forget to sign up for the Secret Santa. Last chance. You got one day, and then we'll draw names on Saturday. So see you then.
Enjoy my wish list.
There's some good stuff on there. All right. And for that, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and keep searching for more light. Have a good night.